colour some more and get some colouring pens to make it a bit brighter, you can do that in a few minutes. We'll ask you up. But today, we're thinking about gifts and good gifts. But I want to start by asking you a question, and maybe asking the adults this morning. Adults, have you ever been deceived? Hands up if you've ever been conned. If you ever, no one's going to admit it, or a couple of people, if you've ever gone to buy something and you've had something else. Some of you of a certain age are watching this advert at the moment. It's going to come up on the screen for us. The avoid pension scams. Have you seen that advert? The guy on the jet ski, he's stolen the money. It's big news. I had a friend, he's gone to glory now, but really good guy, ex-Oxford professor, and his pension was stolen. On the phone to a guy, he thought the guy knew exactly what was going on. Money gone straight away. You can be deceived, but it's not just pensions. It can happen online. So here's one I found online. There's the face mask, and that's the size of the face mask. I don't know if anybody has bought any dodgy beauty products like that. Or the other one is, you never really do know the size. Here's one I found. Look at the size on the chair that they bought. No wonder it was a bargain. It's a tiny little chair. It's quite easy to be deceived. It's quite easy to be conned. And I think that in life, there are two big deceptions. There are two big cons that I want to share this morning. Now, the first one is what these are all about, which is this: too good to be true. Too good to be true. Basically, the general rule is, if it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. That's what we tend to find. And it's not just stuff that you buy on eBay and places like that. It can be a career. Someone can say, have this career and you'll be unbelievably happy. And you get the career, and actually it doesn't fulfill you in the way you thought it would. Or maybe a hobby. Have this hobby and it will make you happy. And then you realize it doesn't. Or maybe an experience. Or even a relationship. Someone promises so much, and actually when the difficult times come, they're not there. There is something in life that some things are just too good to be true. And the question is, why do we fall for it? Why do we fall for the too good to be true? I wonder if it's because deep down we think there is something more. There is something better. In us, there's a hunger, there's a desire for something better. But I don't think that's the only deception in life. I think there's another one, and this is the one I want to think about today, and it's this. This is the ultimate con, that God is not ultimate good. That God is not ultimate good, or God is not ultimately good. Or maybe I could say it like this: God is not ultimately goodness. This is one of the big deceptions in life, one of the big cons, whereby deep down we all think that God isn't perfect, that God isn't utterly good. Let me show you how. Have a think about this. When do you think of God? When something good happens or when something bad happens? If you're honest. When do we think God is responsible for something? When it's good or when it's bad? So I can't find hardly any books written called "Why Do Good Things Happen to Bad People?" No one really ever asks that. No one has something good and says, "Wow, God, why did you do that?" But when something goes wrong, Lord, why? Why did God make that happen? Why did God allow that to happen? Or perhaps the bigger question, where is God? Deep down, we don't believe in the ultimate goodness of God. It's not that he's too good to be true, it's that we just don't believe it's true that God is good. And harvest time is a time to pause and ponder. Harvest time is a time to reset the default settings of our mind and heart and to rethink God. And so I want to look at one verse this morning. It's going to come up on the screen for us. It's one verse. It's James chapter 1, verse 17. And it says this: "Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of the heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows." It's a brilliant verse, isn't it? Every good and perfect gift. That's a pretty extreme statement. Every good, every perfect gift comes from above, coming down from the Father the Father of the heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows. Now, James is dealing with people struggling with temptation. It's an argument he's making that isn't really about harvest time. So what James is dealing with is Christians who are struggling, Christians who are being tempted, and then they're saying, God is doing this to me. I'm having a tough time. It must be God's fault. And so James comes back and says, no. When you have a tough time, it's not God's fault, because the first thing he says is, well, God doesn't tempt you. God isn't going to tempt you. God's not going to make you. Actually, what do we pray in the Lord's Prayer? Deliver us from evil. Actually, that's not part of who God is. And then the second argument he makes is this, is actually God is ultimate goodness. That's this verse here. So James, to prove that God doesn't come and kind of try to ruin Christians, goes to this bigger principle, which is you've got to remember what God is really like. God is ultimate goodness. And I want to look at that principle this morning very quickly, of this idea that God is ultimate goodness. You see, if you look at the verse in its context and you look at a Bible, the verse before this says this, don't be deceived, my dear brothers and sisters. See, James knows this is the ultimate deception, to not believe this. To not believe this. And so this morning, I want to try and kind of just highlight a way we can be conned. Highlight a way that we can be deceived, even as brothers and sisters, even as Christians. We can fall into the idea that God is not ultimate goodness. Now, if you get an email this afternoon that's offering you £100,000 from someone in Nigeria, and all they need is £120 from you, or £1,000, or something like that, or someone phones about your pension, or you're going on eBay and you find the ultimate Xbox for £2.50, how do you find out if it's true or not? I think there's three questions to ask. What, who, and why? So what exactly are they offering? Who is it that's offering it? And why are they offering it? So when it comes to this verse, I want to ask those three questions. What exactly is God offering? Who is he? Who is this God? And why is he doing it? I think they're the best questions to ask. So what is it that God gives? Every good and perfect gift. Oh, okay. Don't really have to spend much time on that. What does God give? Every good and perfect gift. It's a massive claim, isn't it? It's not claiming that God gives some things. It's actually claiming that God gives all things. So here's a question. How does God give us an iPhone? Did you know to make an iPhone, to make a touch screen, do you know the technology to make that, although it's really new and amazing, actually ultimately comes from the ground? Actually, everything you need to make that iPhone screen is in the ground, which means it's been there for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. It's been there as long as the earth has been there. Do you know, when you look into it, everything that we do today isn't creating something out of nothing. We're always taking what is raw in the earth and what our brains can do, we put it together and we make things. Which means even things we make now can only be made because of what God created. It's pretty amazing, isn't it? Every good and perfect gift comes from above. That's why we thank God at harvest. I think we're living in an age where harvest is becoming a little bit more powerful, isn't it? I think this morning we could have brought offerings of petrol and diesel, couldn't we? Because we're starting to realize we are, 1 month away from Mad Max or Lord of the Flies. It's all going a bit crazy. And, we have in the last 18 months experienced a time where half of us couldn't buy any toilet roll and the other half of you couldn't get into your spare room because you had so much toilet roll. We all know who you are. And the thing is, we're starting to realize, do you know what? Everything isn't automatic. Everything isn't guaranteed. I think we have increasingly lived in an age where we just assume you go to a supermarket and it's there. But we forget the lorry drivers, we forget the farmers, we forget the global conditions. Actually, every good and perfect thing comes from God above. And harvest is a reset to realize that everything good we have comes from God. Now, it's a big claim. So the question is, Can God claim to do that? It's not just what does he claim, it's who claims it. Because that's the big issue, isn't it? If someone claims to be able to give you something, you've got to ask, have you got the qualifications? Have you got the credentials? Have you got the ability? That's the big question, isn't it? I can decide to offer one of my sons a Ferrari. It's a lovely thing, but ultimately they know I haven't got the... Sorry, Levi. I ultimately haven't got the bank balance to back up that offer. But Brooklyn, son of David Beckham, I think if David Beckham offered him a Ferrari, he could probably back that up with 4 Ferraris in different colors and another 3 cars for the weekend, because he's got the ability. And God is the one who says he can give us everything and everything is his. Actually, he's the one. And you notice how God is referred to here? Firstly, as Father. I love that. So it doesn't come down firstly to the power of God, but it comes down to his paternal, his family, his loving relationship. It's down to God is our Father, and then he is the Father of heavenly lights. Who knows what the heavenly lights are? Does anybody know what the heavenly lights are? Anybody want to have a guess? Any children want to guess? What are the heavenly lights that James is talking about here? Anybody? What do people think? What are the big lights in the heavens? The stars! Well done, well done. The stars, the moon, and the sun. They are the heavenly lights. So we've got lights for the day and lights for the night. And it's interesting, when James uses this, he means it in 2 ways. He's making 2 points. The first point he's making this is, God is the Father of heavenly lights. He created them. He put the stars in space. He put the sun and the moon up in the sky. So he is showing us the power of God because God is creator. But it's not just that. In this chapter, James chapter 1, he's showing us not only that God is perfect, but God is purely perfect. He's ultimately righteous. That's all language for showing that God is only light, and in him there is no darkness. That's what we're seeing here. God has the power and the perfection, the purity to do this. You see, when God says he gives us something and it is everything good, you can look at the stars and the sun and the moon and think, well, wow, the one who put those there has offered me this. So whatever it is I need, compared to what he's done with the sun and the moon and the stars, it's nothing. And the wonderful thing is, he's not a con artist because he's light, he's brilliance, he's pure. And then he goes on and shows us something really, really good, who does not change like shifting shadows. Do you know, in life, there are times when you can't see the sun and the moon and the stars, aren't there? So we live by an area of outstanding natural beauty and a dark sky zone. You can go out and you can look at the stars. The Beckinsales can walk off their land, walk up the Sugarloaf. Ben can take his camera. He can do these lapses thingies that photographers do, and he can take pictures of the stars, and the stars are swirling around. You can see them, but I cannot guarantee that every night you go up the Sugarloaf, you can see the stars. Because actually, you might go up there and there are clouds. So when the clouds are up there, here's the question. Have the stars gone? Have the stars changed? They haven't gone. They haven't changed. They're just hidden by circumstances, the clouds. And what's going to happen when a big gust of wind comes? The clouds go. The clouds go. See, often in life, we struggle to trust in God because of shifting shadows, shifting clouds that hide the fact that God is the creator and all-powerful, that hide the fact that God in his character is pure and perfect. But ultimately, those clouds go. God hasn't changed, and he doesn't change. And the amazing thing for us is actually to remember that God does give us all things, and that he always will give us what is good and perfect, because he doesn't change. So here's my third and final question. So what does he give? He gives everything that's good. Why? Or who gives it? God, who is ultimately strong, perfect, and pure. So here's the question, why? Why does he give it to us? Well, actually, you've got to zoom a bit back out. and try and remember what James is telling us. You see, James isn't really writing about harvest, is he? He's writing about something bigger. So he's not just talking about physical things, because all of our food, good as they are, isn't everything that is good and perfect. Actually, God gives us a lot more than food. And so the next verse goes on and says this. If you've got a Bible, you can read it. The next verse says this: he chose to give us birth through the word of truth, that we might be kind of first fruits of all he created. See, James zooms out and says, actually, the ultimate good and perfect gift he gives us is that he chooses to give us new birth. He chooses to give us new life. The physical things, the food, are all to show us that we can trust in God. But ultimately, the best thing he gives us isn't physical food, but spiritual food. It isn't physical life, but spiritual life. It isn't just things for here, now, in the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years, but in heaven with him for eternity. And so I want to ask you a question this morning. Remember the guy in the video at the start? There's a sense in which that's how we should be with God. Every day, every good and perfect thing, we should just throw an arrow prayer to God. Thank you, God. That's amazing. We should thank God repeatedly. And so my question is, have you thanked God? And then my second question is this: God has every good and perfect gift for you, which includes real life, forgiveness, enjoyment of God, eternal life. My question is, have you accepted that? Because ultimately, to just enjoy the food in this world, well, really, it's only to enjoy the starters, the hors d'oeuvres, the canapes. It's not the real thing. There's so much more. Have you taken that life and enjoyed it? Well, look, let's find out what the children are thankful for, because I think there's so much more than pizza. So guys, come up. I've got a couple of helpers. They're going to help me. Let's find out. I'm going to put a microphone on. And if you're, come up, guys, come up. And if you're big enough, you can come and tell us first. Okay, sir, here we go. What are you thankful for?
School.
School. Good, man. That's awesome. Do you want to hand it there? All the teachers and retired teachers are now very happy. Keris.
Family.
Family, very good. That's really good. Let's hand them on. What are we thankful for?
Lego.
Lego! Any Lego fans in the room? Well done. Let's go and put it up. If you hand it over, they'll hand it.
Family.
Oh, family. Excellent, excellent. We're loving this.
This is my sister's and she, our cat, Max, and cake.
Perfect. Cats and cake. Cats and cake. That is awesome. We're loving that.
I went to take and Rosie and Tilly and Teddy and buy do this.
Excellent. I was hoping you'd say your father, but that will do. Well done. Thank you very much. Excellent. What other Oh, what have we got here?
Yes.
Milk and mummy. That is wonderful. Thank you. Do you want to take it over there and they'll put it on the wall? What have we got, pal? I can read as fish fingers. Do you? Oh, well done. Well done. Asterix. Do you love Asterix? Well done. And boys, I'm thankful for your rugby tops. Well done. We got Wales rugby tops here. Well done. Excellent. Thank you very much. What are we thankful for, Emily?
My mummy and my Nia.
Oh, well done, mummy. Well done. Do you want to put it up on the wall, Emily? Well done.
Waffles.
Oh, waffles, bird's eye potato waffles. They're wonderfully I can't remember the rest of the advert. Well done. Well done.
Cats.
Cats. Oh, we got 2 for cats. Well done. Put it up. I'm hoping we're going to have a dog.
Jesus and giant squid.
Jesus and giant squids. I'm loving that. Those are all the things in life.
Friends.
Oh, friends. Excellent. Do you want to put it up? Well done.
Pizza.
Pizza. Well done. High five. All the people that love pizza are awesome.
Sweets.
Sweets. I love sweets as well. Well, do you want to take them over? And they'll put them up. Ooh.
Sure one. What's that? Alice. Your sister.
Oh, we're thankful for our sister Alice. Well done. Let's put it up. And then, oh, here we go.
Toilet.
The toys. The toys. Well done. Do you want to go and put it up on the front? Thank you so much. So many things to give thanks for, isn't it? It's brilliant to see. I wonder if we let the adults do it as well. What else would go up on? And I think it's really important that actually we grow hearts of thankfulness. I am so encouraged to give thanks for fish fingers. I think it's so important, isn't it? Because every good and perfect gift comes from our Father of heavenly lights. And so, children, thank you so much for putting those up there. They are super, super encouraging for us. But you know, as we see these things and give thanks, it's also helpful to know that one of the ways we thank God is by giving our lives back to him. That actually he gives us all of these gifts, and one of them is he gives us new life so that we can live for him. And so we're going to